Gerald Kingsland, smarting from a failed marriage, fed up with the burden of parenting 2 teenage boys in a broken household, and horrified by what he sees as the looming collapse of British civilization, commits to a truly drastic change of circumstances. He vows to find himself an uninhabited tropical island, and to live on it for a year with no company apart from one suitably appealing woman. He sells off whatever he owns that's worth anything, and squirrels the money away to pay for transport and provisions. He does exhaustive research into potential venues for his year of roughing it, looking for that perfect combination of mild climate, dependable local sources of food and fresh water, and freedom from regular human habitation. One day, a spirited and unconventional young woman living in England named Lucy Irvine comes upon a very strange advertisement in the classified section of the travel and lifestyle magazine Time Out. Writer seeks wife for year on tropical island. The advertisement was placed by Gerald W. Kingsland, memoirist, journalist, ex-soldier, adventurer, an all-around retrograde macho man. And yes, he was completely serious. Irvine answers the ad and arranges a schedule to meet up with Gerald at a hotel. Lucy arrives just after Gerald enters the building and goes to the reception. There she learns that he's at the lounge, so she makes her way to finally meet this strange person. She introduces herself to Gerald and they sit down for a drink. The initial meeting between Lucy and Gerald is marked by a contrast in personalities. Lucy, exuding a sense of freedom and spontaneity, is drawn to the idea of this unconventional adventure. On the other hand, Gerald, a more reserved and contemplative individual, appears motivated by a desire for creative inspiration. Nevertheless, Kingsland selects her from a small pool of competitors to be his companion in primitivism. Lucy knows the idea is crazy, but it strongly appeals to her anyway. Restless yet directionless, and frankly a little bit overwhelmed by the realities of adulthood, she finds it very hard to resist the temptation of an excuse to blow off everybody's expectations of her for an entire year, in a place where it won't matter a bit that she never quite figured out what she wanted to be when she grew up. Still, she can't bring herself to tell even her roommate Laura what she's thinking of doing. In fact, Lucy tries pretty hard to prevent Laura from so much as learning of Gerald's existence while they conduct their weird quasi-courtship in the weeks following first contact. Eventually, though, Lucy makes up her mind to sign on with Gerald on his mad scheme and lets the story get out at last. In fact, she lets the story out far enough to secure a book deal for a memoir of the project, and her advance from the publisher pays her way to Brisbane, Australia, which Gerald has selected as their forward base of operations for picking out the best of the many small islands in the Torres Strait. It's in Brisbane that an unforeseen complication arises. Astonishingly, the Australian government objects to Project Castaway on grounds of sexual morality and refuses to issue the necessary long-term visas unless Gerald and Lucy marry for real. Fighting that outmoded official prudery consumes most of the remaining money from the couple's respective would-be publishers and still ends in failure. The unexpected snag also has a cripplingly destructive effect on the couple's relationship. Quite simply, Lucy is ornery. Tell her that she has to do something she wanted to do, and suddenly she doesn't want to do it anymore. It was one thing to become Gerald's wife for the duration of their South Seas adventure, but now that she's forced into a marriage without the ironic quotation marks, she notices all at once that she actually doesn't like Gerald very much. Overnight, Lucy cuts off all sexual relations and casts a sharply critical new eye on everything he does. Not without justification, Gerald feels as though he's been given the bait and switch, but he and Lucy agree wholeheartedly that they've come much too far and sacrificed far too much to turn back now. They're going to Tuin Island together, whether they can stand the sights of each other or not. Tuin Island is part of Queensland, and the authorities would have never let them go without marrying first, and Irvine has an intrauterine device implanted to prevent pregnancy, so they embark on a journey to Tuin Island in the Torres Strait. They arrive on the island with limited knowledge and resources, accompanied by 2 Torres Strait Islanders. Upon landing, Irvine takes pictures while Kingsland sits done for a smoke. The island presents challenges such as extreme heat, dangerous sea creatures, and a scarcity of water. Despite initial excitement and anticipation, tensions arise between the couple due to their differing personalities and expectations. After being formally married, Irvine and Kingsland try to adapt, making the best out of a beautiful but hostile environment with treacherous flora and fauna. Their days are filled with survival tasks, including fishing, gardening, and building shelter. As they struggle with the harsh realities of island life, their relationship deteriorates. One day, while trying to bring down some coconuts, Kingsland gets stung by wasps, whereafter Irvine treats him in his sleep. The next day, Irvine is lying down fishing when the hook is caught by a shark. When she feels the push, she immediately gets up and calls for Kingsland's help. Kingsland ignores her until he realizes it's really a shark. Excited, he tries pulling as hard as he can, but ultimately, only a small fish comes out. Disappointed, he leaves the fish for her and departs. Slowly but surely, an intense love-hate relationship develops between the two, as Irvine is much stricter and more disciplined than the laid-back Kingsland. Kingsland also makes clear he desires the blonde, slender Irvine, but much to his chagrin, she refuses his advances. However, as both are mutually dependent on each other, and both are also constantly hungry, the tension remains in check. They face challenges such as water shortages, sandfly bites, and the relentless heat. Despite occasional moments of camaraderie and shared experiences, their relationship becomes increasingly strained. Matters grow worse when Kingsland's legs become infested with ulcers. It turns out he is allergic to the shark they are regularly eating, and the two are visited by two male naval postal officers. At first, the couple hide, but assuming they are social, Kingsland decides to come out. One of the officers from afar states that they are required under penalty of law to complete and return a census form, but they're unable to hear him, so he dives in the water to swim to shore. Even though they're friendly, Kingsland is still not fond of them and states they don't have spare food, to which the offer replies they've got plenty and offers to share as well. The officers introduce themselves are Rod and Jason. On the contrary though, Irvine seems delighted about their arrival and compliments on their boat. Afterward, Kingsland asks Irvine to make them some tea. With the supplies they brought, Rod treats Irvine's wounds, with Jason handing her a beer to cope with the pain. Jason is curious as to what the couple talk about because they're all alone on an island. Irvine answers saying mostly it's practical things amongst others like their memories or ideas. The visitors and Irvine take a hike through the island together, where she says Kingsland just lies idle all the time with no imagination. She thinks that is because he's much older than her and mentions his leg infection. Rod teaches her how to play the flute and she picks up fast. They share a kiss afterwards. Rod and Jason leave soon after and Irvine's life is back to how it was before. When Irvine gets back from a swim, Kingsland starts a fight, accusing her of having an affair with the officer, but she denies it and instead states she defended him. She then leaves infuriated. However, when she eats poisoned beans, he saves her life, which earns her respect. But things grow from bad to worse when a bad drought comes over Twin. Having no means of communication, the antenna of their CB radio set is missing, the two nearly starve to death. Irvine has serious abdominal problems and fears she is pregnant, which would be her doom in her weakened state. Then salvation comes in the form of natives from the neighboring Beidou Island, Queensland, who find the castaways and nurture them back, helped by occasionally passing white nurses. Irvine and Kingsland regain their strength and health. Irvine's abdominal problems are due to inflammation caused by the IUD, not pregnancy. She has it extracted, and after recovering, the two are treated as honored guests. Kingsland manages to fix a broken down motorboat, which enables a better way for the nurses to travel. The Badu Islander thanks him and compliments on his skills. The man tells Kingsland that there are plenty of motorboats he can fix, and that he'll provide him with food in exchange. Kingsland establishes himself as a fine addition because he is able to fix many of their technical and electrical devices. He thrives on his new usefulness and begins to spend more of his time at Badu Island, leaving Irvine to be alone at Twin. While their time there is coming to an end, Kingsland tells Irvine that he knows what the time they had meant to her and asks what she is going to do after they part their ways. But before she can answer, he is called again by the neighboring islanders and he departs. Irvine states that she doesn't know what is happening to her, and over the last few weeks she has changed a lot, feeling nothing to hold on to any longer that she recognizes as being herself. Irvine says it's good to see Kingsland's confidence and self-respect returning, as she never really knew him when he was not down. But now, she can see the reality of the kind man he is. While he's away, she tries doing things like target practice to pass the time. Kingsland would come back, but had spent an extra day than what he promised to stay for. She happily greets him, and he says she should go with him the next time, stating they'll treat her like a princess there. He then apologizes for staying a day longer, as he couldn't get the work finished in time, but the happy face wasn't for long as Irvine started complaining about her life. Kingsland tries to end the argument before it starts saying that he has been working hard at Badu, and that he's tired but also very happy to be back with her. Irvine, though, continues the fight, stating that she isn't happy with his trips to Bado, and doesn't want to be a mechanic's wife. She tries reminding him that their reason for being here is to survive on their own using their wits and skills. She states that he doesn't even stay that much on Tuin anymore, and when he does, it becomes a place where people bring their broken machinery. Feeling her libido return, and now willing to fulfill Kingsland the one wish she has denied him, she equips herself with condoms and seduces him. They start a fulfilling but awkward sexual relationship. Both enjoy the new quality of their marriage, but Irvine makes clear that she will leave him at the end of the year, as they had planned. She feels that life has more to offer than being the wife of a castaway mechanic, and Kingsland accepts with a heavy heart, stating she is still too young to waste her dreams. They spend their last days together at Tuin Island, and when she flies away to the UK, Irvine feels both sadness and relief. Years later, Irvine stated she liked Kingsland, but hated being forced to marry him because the Queensland government demanded it. She also states that she would not do it again the same way, but it was an invaluable experience. Castaway unfolds as a nuanced exploration of isolation, survival, and human connection. Every conversation twist and turn contributes to the rich tapestry of the narrative. Irvine and Kingsland's journey, depicted through detailed dialogues and evocative visuals, transcends the conventional boundaries of storytelling, inviting the audience to reflect on the profound complexities of the human experience in the face of adversity. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.